Yo, turn down the cynicism and bump up the hype for the show with the smooth and sultry breakdowns that dig deep into the heart of your favorite video games. Rated S Games! Word on the net is there's a well-loved game that hasn't gotten nearly the amount of attention it deserves. Could it be a conspiracy from the corporate overlords? When I found out, I was so distraught, I cried all night, y'all. But I'll let you in on DJ Professor K's little secret. Open up for the truth sandwich. It's Jet Set Radio Future, and it's all about the joy of mobility. Let's break it down. Jet Set Radio Future takes place in Tokyo-to, a futuristic interpretation of Tokyo, Japan. Only problem is, the city is under the control of an oppressive mega corporation called the Rokaku Group. Man, they even sound evil. You play as any of several members of the GGs, an up-and-coming group of Rudies who aim to protect Tokyo-to and reclaim each district from the control of those freaky-deaky bad guys. They do this by following the guidance of DJ Professor K. That's me, baby, host of Tokyo-to's #1 pirate radio station, Jet Set Radio! Jet Set Radio Future has you tagging up district after district, navigating the sprawling landscapes of a city gone double bonkers, and showing up rivals and tests of skill and speed. But is it rated S? Damn, I sure hope so, but I guess we'll have to wait and find out. An adventure platforming game with almost no combat, no major puzzles, and no progression system, although there are some unlocks. Probably gonna seem a little bit weird at the very least. Like, how can you have a game that's just about going places and then doing some stuff there? Well, Jet Set Radio Future is unabashed in its gameplay presentation. It is absolutely about going through a fantastically stylish city and having fun doing it, and enjoying some very zany plot points. Tokyo-to is a pretty ridiculous city, arguably an impossible one. The further that you explore through the city, the more outrageous the designs get. Shibuya Terminal, Dogenzaka Hill, Chuo Street, these places are each inspired by real locations in Japan, and they're pretty reasonable. There are streets populated by an endless stream of cars with impeccable braking ability, pedestrians with literally nothing to do, and for the most part, things make sense. They're reasonable. But then there's places like the Skyscraper District and Sky Dinosaurian Square. What in the holy banana sandwiches? Who builds a Pharaoh-themed recreation area literally suspended from indefinitely tall skyscrapers? Nobody but crazy people. And then, those same crazy people go and build a gigantic theme park ride in the middle of another theme park ride right next to the skyscrapers. That's ridiculous. The zoning committee for Tokyo-to must have been huffing paint. But even the more normal places are designed to be explored. There's not much pretense of Tokyo-to being inhabited by individuals that you're supposed to care about. Instead, you're supposed to care about Tokyo-to. The city's focus is all the zany, vibrant locations it incorporates. You're supposed to want to fight back against Rokaku's comically evil bad guy tactics by tearing up these thoroughly bonkers locations. Not necessarily to save any one person. Although the bad guys do kind of capture one of your friends, you gotta rescue him, but that's just the whole, don't even worry about that, he's fine. That said, if you don't find any of this intriguing, then you're probably not gonna like this game. Jet Set Radio Future, despite its outrageous designs, is a rather straightforward game. The original Jet Set Radio was a lot more arcade-styled because that was kind of Sega's thing back then, much more score-driven. And while there is a score system in Jet Set Radio Future, it's much more an adventure. And just like other adventure games, if you're not into the story or the awesome world that they've created, then you probably won't feel like this is more than just going places. But that said, going places in Jet Set Radio Future is very, very fun. Jet Set Radio Future's districts are open environments where the goal is typically to tag all the marked locations, thereby completing the complex alchemical design required to summon forth the bad guys. The skates worn by Rudies, who are the skater people that you play as, are some kind of magical. In fact, this whole universe is a bit touched by the Fae. The spray cans? Yeah, they only exist if you've got the soul of the streets. Which is thoroughly bizarre because the graffiti is totally real. So, I don't get how that works. But following that logic though, I can only assume the skates to Rudies are like brooms to witches. If you've got the magic in you, then you can use the magic in them. These fancy skates allow you to grind, forever, with perfect balance, up vertical inclines, and to perform tricks to increase your speed infinitely. But what does all this hocus pocus mean for the gameplay? Rails, ramps, gaps, and billboards are combined in a variety of situations and liberally disseminated throughout the world. Navigating the perilous sewers? Be sure to keep landing tricks with rhythmic button presses to keep that combo up, as well as your speed. Tagging up 99th Street? Watch carefully for the right rail switches and billboard transfers to find those elusive upper level spots. The platform adventuring literally never stops. All manner of movement is there for you to enjoy, from simply riding through an area to actually finding all the tag locations within. About the only time you're not doing something is when you're on the ground, but since riding a rail, hitting a jump, or literally anything else is faster, you're motivated to stay tricky and avoid what is essentially walking around with feet wheels. Progress is based on completion, so if you want to beat the game, you kind of have to do everything. Sort of. There's a bunch of stuff that's there in the story that you're going to have to 100% complete. Now, there's tons of things that you don't have to do, and there's lots of stuff after the game is over to do. But the main point is that each district leverages its own kind of challenges to make unique and memorable mobility-based gameplay moments that you're going to experience. You're not going to miss them. I've played through Jet Set Radio Future like 3 times now. Any rail I see, I can make my way along it. Any tag location, I remember how to get there. I'm like those skating graffiti wizards you hear so much about these days. But it wasn't always that way. I once was a simpleton, just barely skating by. And each district was once a mystery. You see, the map is merely a 3D cavity with little blips urging you to figure out how to get to those blips. Some of the maps are so convoluted that despite theoretically knowing the exact location of each spot, you may be at a complete loss as to how to get to them. Every rail is a test. Every jump, it leads somewhere, for sure. But the fun is in trying, investigating, and learning. Regarding the mechanics of getting around, the actual skating, it's all about momentum. Typically, in every map, the first thing you'll do is pick an area to find all the graffiti in, then search for and experiment with different paths to the tag locations. The districts have very particular identities. Some are large loops, some get very vertical, and some are just plain huge. But they're all designed with a guiding philosophy of flow. They're designed to keep you going. Sure, there's punishments for failing difficult jumps or transfers, such as falling for 20 seconds while your character flails in terror, but getting your speed back is easy as 1, 2, 3. The spray cans, which are necessary to actually spray graffiti, and the actual tag spots themselves are situated such that you can pursue your goals without sacrificing speed. Granted, certain characters are better at graffiti on the go than others. Jet Set Radio Future can seem kinda clunky at times. The graffiti spots can be hard to find or hard to reach, and because you're not used to looking at billboards and rails or even just gaps between places as being connecting things, level design can seem kind of unintuitive at times. However, thanks to the open and forgiving nature of the level design, you're allowed to explore and discover everything and also conquer everything at your own pace. The joy of movement is so thoroughly integrated in Jet Set Radio Future. All of its mechanics and features stem from that concept. There are tons of tricks to do. Each character has their own set, although some are shared. But doing tricks is just pressing a button. It's not like Tony Hawk or my personal favorite tricking game, SSX. The point isn't to style on your controller so hard that you ascend into the trick pantheon of the gods. It's to navigate complex paths, maintain your speed, and look pretty damn cool doing it. Each district has street challenges that are unlocked once you locate the golden tape hidden somewhere in the area. These challenges range from building up large trick combos to grinding specific paths somewhere in the level. Good luck figuring out what the hell they mean without a guide though. Spraying all the graffiti requires you to learn the ins and outs of the level, then the street challenges urge you to use that knowledge to gain more graffiti souls. Graffiti souls are important for progress, as well as for unlocking new graffiti, and eventually, secret characters, woo, like Roboy or Potts, who is a dog. Nifty, right? Granted, unlocking every character does require a bit of grinding. Okay, that one was a bit shameless. The characters have such great designs that you might find yourself wanting to play some of them even if you don't like their stats all that much. I mean, even the story events leverage mobility. The Rokkaku goons are knocked down by speed, and most battles require navigating enclosed spaces without being cornered. Or, blowing up tanks with magical graffiti. It's a good thing your body is so resilient you can shake off tank rounds. Rokkaku battles and races, as well as games of the garment vandalizing taggers tag, provide adventuring breaks and fill out this game's ridiculous plot. Like, if you predicted that a game about a skating-based turf war would somehow involve a robot gang that brainwashes the other gangs, you have a very, very impressive imagination. And of course, you've got DJ Professor K and Jet Set Radio keeping things on track and mixing the game's funky, eclectic OST directly into your ears. In Jet Set Radio Future, the soul of the streets is all around you at all times. Yo, I'm back bringing you a full frontal exposure of the strangest struggle for the streets since I crashed into that giant cotton candy machine. It's Rated S Games! Oh man, that was one sick breakdown. Call an ambulance, baby! Jet Set Radio Future is all about that groove meant to boost yo movement. And the bass line is heavy, y'all. Now, not everyone can dig, and that's a damn shame. But the reports are flooding in from all over Tokyo-to. This game is Rated S, and if you haven't yet, you better strap on some skates and sample this sexy cityscape for yourself. But be careful, don't go too crazy out there and break something tender, suckers. Ha 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 ha. Hello everybody, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it because I enjoyed making it. And if you'd like, feel free to like, comment, or subscribe if you'd like. You don't have to, but if you share the video in any way, it's very helpful and I super appreciate it. While you're here, if there's more stuff that you want to watch, on the left we have a Did You Know Gaming video, which is a trivia series about Jet Set Radio Future, and I did the words for it, so go for it. And over on the right, there is a video on Lethal League, which is an awesome game, kind of styled similar to Jet Set Radio Future, even though the gameplay is totally different, so you can watch that. And last but not least, in the center, I made a new trailer that kind of more properly explains what Rated S means, if you never knew or if you're new, so go ahead and check that out if you need to. Thanks for watching, everybody!